Alright, so next I want to install the front engine plate and the timing mechanism here with the gears and the chain so we can do the timing. But before we install the front engine plate, we have to install the sealing block here over the bearing cap number 1. To do that, we need the little gaskets. There are 2 little gaskets that come here, and there are 2 blocks of wood, like wedges, that come here. Interesting. These used to be wood. Now this is some kind of rubber. That, too bad. I don't like this. I don't like this because it's gonna be hard to install. These used to be wood and it was so much easier to install. You were just hammering them down. So this is how the sealing block goes, like this, with the threaded hose forward. So the gaskets need to match this. So like this. So this one goes like this, and this one is the opposite, which is like this. And because I know you're gonna ask, this is aviation form a gasket by Permatex. So I was able to stick those rubber pieces on the side here, but I'm not really sure how I'm gonna put them in. Maybe I should put some assembly loop here so they can slide. Hopefully. I'll try this. Put one side in, and then for the other side I'm gonna use the smallest leaf here on my feeler gauge. That's not gonna work. Oh, that pushed it out. I got it started somehow. So I got it started both sides, but I'm just worried that now I have a little piece of rubber sticking up down underneath. So I'm gonna cut that because I'm afraid that it's gonna hit the bottom and it's gonna keep the block a little bit higher. I'm not sure while I'm pushing it down if the rubber won't stay behind, but I have no choice. I'm gonna cut this. Make sure that the piece comes out. Now I'm gonna put the bolts and I'm gonna drive it down with the bolts, so the bolts are also gonna keep the gaskets in place. Oh, looks like the rubber is going down too. That's good. It's not staying behind. Now, before you tighten this completely here, you have to make sure that the block is flush with the front plate here, which in this case it's not. Otherwise the gasket is not gonna seal properly here. Okay. Okay, well, it used to be so much easier with the blocks of wood. You were just hammering them in. So now I can cut the excess here. Make sure that it goes down, not in the engine. Good. Now we can install our front engine plate. Now here, in the set they give you two gaskets, and I believe they are two different thicknesses, which I don't know why it is. I'm not really sure why you need two different thicknesses for here. So I'm just gonna use this one, and that's how it goes, just making sure that it fits, which it doesn't. What about the other one? Well, this one does. That's weird. Really? Well, honestly, this is a mystery for me. Yeah? So the holes don't match. If we match the top ones, the bottom ones are totally different. I have no idea why that is, honestly. I don't think they're different blocks for TR6. But anyways, we're gonna use this one then. We have no other option. So now, because we painted the engine with the engine plate on and with the cover on, now our surface here is not painted. And also it tells us exactly where the engine plate finishes. Otherwise you have to mark it here. Now we can install the gears and the chain, but before the chain, we're gonna make sure that the gears line up perfectly. To do that, we need to install them both. So this is our new gear, and you see here this edge is beveled inside, and this is not. So the beveled edge needs to go first, and that's for the simple reason that here the crank, it's not necessarily machined into a square. So that's the way it goes. There you go. Okay, all the way in. Now we don't have the key yet, but that's not important, we don't need it. And this gear goes this way. And there's 4 holes here, but that's for alignment. I'm gonna show you when we do the timing. For now, it doesn't matter which holes we use. Okay, and now we're gonna check for alignment with a straight edge. So now, when I put the edge, the straight edge here on these teeth, and here, it touches everywhere. Yeah, so we are pretty good. Here, here, and here, it touches everywhere. If there was a gap here or here, we were gonna have to adjust the position of the crankshaft. But in this case, as it touches here everywhere, we are perfect. I'm gonna leave it as is, not gonna touch it anymore. And in this case, we can put our key on. Now with the key it's gonna be harder. Then we put the oil thrower, which needs to go with the dish out like the dished part needs to be towards the seal on the outside, and then this sleeve, which is where the seal actually rides, and this needs to be perfectly nice and smooth, which it is in our case, so I didn't buy a new one. Like this. So now we can put our timing chain and time the engine. So now we put our timing chain and do our timing and time and and I know that I've done already multiple videos on that subject, but honestly I don't like any of them because I just don't like how I explain the things. Obviously I made multiple mistakes leading to engine not starting. For example, the last one was on David Tushingham's channel, on Chef Tush's channel, where I basically put the bottom dead center as top dead center and did the whole entire timing based on a wrong position of the degree wheel. So we're gonna go through some of these mistakes and we're gonna make sure that we don't do the same mistakes again. So while I'm setting up my tools here, I'm gonna start explaining a little bit. So let's start with a little theory here. What is cam timing? Why does the cam need to be timed? The camshaft is, let's say, the brain of the engine. And that's what tells the valves when to open, how much to open, how long to stay open. All that needs to be timed. But timed with what? It needs to be timed with the position of the piston. So each piston needs to be in certain position when the valve is gonna have to start opening. When the valve is fully open, it needs to be in certain position when the valve is gonna start to close. So we need to time the camshaft to the crankshaft, and once we time it for one cylinder, all the rest are gonna be timed as well. Or in other words, the timing is the relevance between the crankshaft and the camshaft. So as you may know, in 4-stroke engines, the crankshaft spins twice as fast as the camshaft, because the piston has to go 2 times up and down to complete a full cycle. The camshaft needs to turn only once to complete one cycle. And for that exact reason, the camshaft has a gear that has twice as much teeth as the gear on the crankshaft underneath. This one has 42 teeth, this one has 21 teeth. So this gear is going to turn twice until this one turns only once. So what else we need to know here? We need to know that the camshaft has cams. Obviously it's a camshaft, so it spins and there's a cam follower or tappet that follows the shape of the camshaft. Once it reaches the lobe, it pushes it up, and once it passes the lobe, it goes down again because it's being pushed by the spring on the valve. So the cam follower follows the cam. Then we have a push rod that is being pushed up by the cam follower, and we have return springs to push everything back down when the follower is not on the cam. So here I'm installing my setup, which is going to help me to know the position of the camshaft at any particular moment. Also, here in the center I have a hole that is going to help me to find the top dead center of the piston, which is going to help me to position my degree wheel on the crankshaft, and also I will be able to know the position of the piston by checking the degrees on the degree wheel. So that's why we need the setup here. And of course, knowing the position of the camshaft and the position of the crankshaft is the key. And then we just need to set them so they are exactly where we want them to be in the time when we want them to be there. Alright, so first of all, let's set our top dead center of the piston and then position our degree wheel at 0. So then just by looking at the degree wheel, we will know when our piston is at top dead center. How do we do that? Well, what can we do is like just look at the piston number 6. Now it is at top dead center, so that's our top dead center. Yes and no, because as the piston goes up before it starts going down, it takes some degrees where it just stays up there. So we don't want to just the piston to be at top dead center, we want it to be right in the middle of that cycle. When it reaches up, stays there for 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many degrees of the crankshaft, and then goes down. We want to be right in the center of that. That's called the true top dead center. So to do that, we're gonna turn it back a little so it goes down. We can see now from piston number 6 that it is not at top dead center, and we're gonna put this screw here. It has a rounded head so it doesn't damage the piston, and we're gonna put this screw down there. It doesn't really matter how far you screw this bolt on. It's important that it is below top dead center so it stops the piston as it's going up. So now let's start turning it clockwise, which means soon we're gonna hit the bolt because we were just below that, right? There you go. So it stopped here. So that's 35 degrees before top dead center. So this is our top dead center. That's 35 degrees before that. So these are not real, but in the current setup, the way the wheel is installed on the crankshaft, it points 35 degrees. That's what's important for us. So now we can go the other direction, counterclockwise, until we hit the piston hits the stop again, without moving the piston stop, of course. Wow, that's pretty close. So on this side, it stopped it at, what is this? 41 degrees. So we know that our true top dead center is exactly between 41 after top dead center and 35 before top dead center. Between this point and this point, right in the middle, is our true top dead center. So 35 plus 41 is 76 degrees. 76 divided by 2 is 38. 38 degrees from here in this direction, or 38 degrees from here in this direction, is our true top dead center, which means 35 and 3 more, right? Or 41 minus 38 is 3. So our true top dead center is actually when our degree wheel points 3 degrees here, 3 after top dead center. So now I'm gonna just turn this a little bit so I can loosen the screw. I can remove the screw now, we don't need it anymore. So now we can turn our degree wheel to 3 degrees. So right here is our true top dead center. So what's left here now is just to loosen the degree wheel now without turning the crank. Just turn the degree wheel, put it at 0, and then our true top dead center is gonna match our degree wheel, and we will know that every time we show 0 at the degree wheel, we're gonna be at right true top dead center. And now we can just double check it one more time. So we can turn this back again and put our screw one more time. We're gonna make sure that now we're gonna have equal numbers on both sides of the 0, which is the top dead center. So let's go clockwise again until it stops. Okay, now because I put the screw in the random position, it stopped at, what is that? Between 37 and 38, like right in the middle. But now, if we go the other way, it should stop at the same number. If it stops at 37, 38, between 37 and 38, that's gonna tell us that our 0 is our through top dead center. Okay, so we are close. Perfect, right there. So that confirms that our degree wheel is positioned properly on the crankshaft. That's it. The rest is easy. Alright, so now we have a way of telling the position of the crankshaft at any particular moment. For the camshaft, we don't need to know the position of it in any particular moment, but we need to know only one position, and that's when the pushrod on the intake of the first cylinder is sitting right on top of the lobe of the camshaft. Now, to find the highest position of the lobe is easy with a dial gauge, like I put a dial gauge on it, and we can easily find the highest position, but this highest position lasts for a number of degrees on the camshaft and accordingly on the crankshaft as well. So we need to find the exact center of the lobe when the lobe can be symmetrically divided by 2. And to find this, we're going to do the following. First, we're going to find the highest point. I put my dial gauge on top of this push rod, which is cut for this reason. Okay. So now we can start turning our crank and we can find the highest position of that push rod. Right now it is all the way down and it's sitting there because the valve is supposedly closed. So we are on the other side of the cam, not where the lobe is. But at some point it's going to start going up. This is when the valve starts to open. There you go. So now it starts going up. Our valve is getting more and more open. And we're going to see when it's going to stop opening and it's going to start closing. So somewhere here, you see, it reached the highest point and now it started going down. So this was the highest point that we were looking for. We're going to go back there. It's right here. So this is where the highest spot is, and we're going to zero it here. Okay, that's our zero. Let's go backwards. So now when we go, it keeps opening, it keeps opening, keeps opening, goes to 0, and then it starts going down. I don't know if you see the numbers clearly, but I set the camera so you can see the degree wheel and there too. So now that we know that this is our highest spot here, how can we find the exact center of the lobe? Well, imagine if this is, let's say, our camshaft, and this is the push rod, and now the push rod is sitting right on top of the lobe. To find the center of this lobe, what we can do is we can turn the camshaft until the push rod falls down 50 down. We can mark the position of the crankshaft for this position of the cam. Then we can turn the cam back until we reach the highest point and keep going until the push rod falls down 50 tau on the other side. And we can mark the position of the crankshaft for this position of the cam. And now we will know that the center between these two positions of the crankshaft is going to be our true center of the lobe here. So that's what we're going to do. Let's go clockwise first. So now we are on top of the lobe. So we're going to drop it to 50 tau on one side. There. So this is 68 degrees before top dead center. Okay, that was clockwise. Now we're gonna go counterclockwise. Going back up. Now it goes down again. We're gonna go past 50 and we're gonna approach it clockwise because it's important. It's important the slack of the chain to be on this side, because even though it's a new chain, there's a little bit of slack, and if we turn counterclockwise, this side is going to be tight, this one is going to be loose, but when we turn it clockwise, this side is tight and this side is loose, and there's a little bit of backlash, between the camshaft and the crankshaft, so we want always that backlash to be taken away by turning it only clockwise, which is the natural direction of rotation of the engine. So where are we? Okay, so we were at 68 degrees before top dead center. Now we are at 177 degrees before top dead center. We went 50 thou down on one side of the lobe. We were at 68 degrees, and now we went up to the top, and then we went back down 50 thou on the other side of the lobe, and now we are at 177 degrees. So now we can simply add these two together and divide by 2, and that's going to give us the center position between the two, which is going to tell us at exactly what position of the crankshaft is our center of the lobe right now at this setup. So 68 plus 177 is 230, 245, divided by 2 is 122 and a half. 122 and a half, right? 122 and a half. So let's go back there. So 122 clockwise. Now you are on my spot and I can't see. Okay, 122 and a half. So now we know that in this position we are at the true center of the cam, or true peak of the lobe. That is 122 before top dead center. We need to be at 110 after top dead center, right? That's what we said, that our peak of the lobe of the intake of the first cylinder needs to be synchronized with 110 degrees after top dead center on the crankshaft. So that's why now we can remove our wheel from here, we can remove our gear, try not to move the camshaft, which is going to be hard, so we might not succeed the first time, but we can try. Okay, so now our gear is removed. Now, without touching the camshaft, we're going to turn our crank to 110 after top dead center. Which is right here. Now, in this position of the crank, and without moving the cam, hopefully, let's try and attach them again. So now, of course, the hose won't match, so we need to adjust the teeth. One more tooth, I believe. Somewhere there. Yeah, this is pretty darn good. Wow, if we hit it the first time, that's gonna be a first time for me to hit it the first time. But let's see. All right, so let's try that again. Let's first make sure that our highest point is still here at 0, because from shaking we might have moved our setup there. So we still want to make sure that the 0 is 0. Yeah, it is. Okay, so since we started going counterclockwise, let's go to past 50, then go back to 50 clockwise. Okay, that's 50. So now here it shows 57 after top dead center. 57. So now let's go clockwise. So we are going up again and then down again on the other side of the lobe. I went past, so I'm gonna have to do it again. Okay, so that was 57. Here now we are at 120, 30, 40, 50, 60, 163. 163 plus 57 is 220. Divided by 2 is 110. So that's exactly where we are. Wow. Can that be correct? Are we done? I think we're done. We did it the first time. Anyways, I'm gonna try that again. You know what? I'm gonna move this setup because I'm afraid that something might have moved on me or something. So we're gonna do that again. So I moved the entire setup. Let's find again the highest spot. So now we are down, sitting down. Now we start to go up. Now we're going up. So that was somewhere there, our highest spot. So it moved a little bit because I moved the setup. So that's our highest spot. Let's put the 0 there. Tap it. Give it all kinds of taps and everything, okay. So that's our highest spot. Let's try it again. Yeah. Sorry guys, I just can't believe that I did it the first time. So now we're gonna go counterclockwise, go past and come clockwise to 50. That's again 57. So we're gonna go one more time to 50. Went past again. And that is 110, 20, 30, 40, 50, 63. So 163 plus 57 is 220, divided by 2 is 110. So that's correct. So we don't need any more adjustment of the chain. I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't need to adjust anything, because I can't show you now about the adjustment. I don't really want to lose my my timing now that I fit already. But if you need to adjust one tooth on the camshaft, it's equal to 8.5. Yeah, 8.5 degrees. If we needed to make an adjustment here by 8 degrees, we could just move the gear by one tooth and that was gonna work for us. These two other holes, they are not perpendicular. So if you draw a line between these two holes and between these two holes, your two lines are not gonna be perpendicular to each other. And that's made on purpose so you can actually turn the gear by half a tooth. If you wanna turn by half a tooth, you remove this, you turn the gear 90 degrees and you hook it up to these two holes, and then you're gonna be half a tooth, which means 4 degrees or 4.25 degrees, somewhere there. So the smallest increment that you can make an adjustment with is 4 degrees. So yeah, that's everything. Oh my god, I'm disappointed. Like I almost feel like taking it apart and doing it again, so we need to adjust it, but somehow we managed to hit the 110 mark without adjustment. One more thing though. So this is a habit that I need to develop, that I need to double check now the top dead center. Because what happened, like I said, on David's engine, on Chef Tar's engine, I set my degree wheel at 180 degrees. When it was at bottom dead center, it was showing top dead center, and that screwed up the whole entire setup. So after my timing is complete, I'm gonna double check one more time with the boat my top dead center to make sure that my degree wheel is still there and I'm not working based on a wrong setting of the degree wheel. Now this boat here, because it is a little bit loose, I have this nut also that I turn at the end to make it tight. So now we're gonna do the same thing again. Come on. We're gonna turn it until it stops. So that's 41 exactly. Let's see if when we go counterclockwise it's gonna stop at 41. Exactly 41. So yeah, top dead center is top dead center. Everything is double checked. We are where we want it to be. So now we can remove all this setup. We shouldn't forget now to put the tab washer here and lock these so they don't fall out. And we can tell that we are ready with our timing. Well, I'm happy that this is out of the way, and I'm gonna end this video here. So I'm sorry guys that we didn't have to do adjustment, so I didn't show you how to do that, but that other engine that I'm rebuilding at home, there we're gonna have to do timing as well, so we're gonna have another video coming soon, so hopefully there we're gonna need some adjustment. So anyways, thanks for watching guys, thanks for commenting and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.